Hey, everybody, it's Scott Leckie from Democracy Tomorrow. Today's podcast is about a draft resolution that we have drafted based on the inputs of a whole bunch of different people from across the world, seeking to legally recognize the idea of world citizenship using the terminology of Jus Gaia. That's J-U-S, new word, G-A-I-A. Essentially proposing the idea that we want to create a brand new type of citizenship grounded in our shared humanity. So this is not the type of citizenship status that we currently have in the world today, which tends to be either based on the place where you were born, just solely, or the heritage of your parents, which is just sanguinis, or a meaningful connection to a particular place that you were not necessarily born in, which has been called by some people just Nexi. We're proposing the idea of Jus Gaia, our shared humanity as the basis for a new form of citizenship, which can form the foundations for global governance grounded in our shared humanity, our shared citizenship status, and our shared position as rights holders under international human rights law. This is not something that will come about tomorrow. This is not something that will immediately occur. But we believe that through this resolution and countless other actions by millions of people across the world, we will eventually reach a point where enough people want to begin to build a planetary global governance system that it will actually come into being. We're not all that far away. We have the United Nations still. We have countless alliances and associations between and among governments. We have religions that span the globe. We have cultures that span the globe. We have economic relationships and trade which span the globe. Conversely, we have problems which are truly global in nature and can only be solved if we all act together on the basis of our shared humanity. Climate change cannot be solved by one country alone. Nuclear disarmament cannot be solved by one country alone. Mass poverty cannot be solved by one country alone. Mass displacement cannot be solved by one country alone. The list goes on. We have achieved a great deal in the previous centuries as humans, both in economic and technological terms, and also in reaching a point of common understanding, a shared commitment to international peace and security as embodied best by the United Nations Charter, which was, of course, adopted in June 1945. We're up to the 81st year now. It goes without saying that reform of the international legal system is something that's constantly occurring, constantly ongoing, and something that is still required. Part of that reform that we would like to see here at Democracy Tomorrow, and which we'll be speaking about very intensively during the course that we're hosting later this year called Democracy Mind, is this idea of world citizenship, not just as an esoteric notion, not just as someone prancing around a festival or whatever it may be, but actually a legal status that we can all have from the moment we're born until the moment we die. And there are countless ways by which this can be done. One way that we're trying to promote this, and we're doing this in many different ways, is through this generic resolution that we've adopted. It's called the Recognition of Jus Gaia World Citizenship Resolution. You can see the full text of this resolution on the onenessworld.org website right there on the homepage. There's a free to download PDF of the 2.5-page resolution. This resolution is a way of formalizing at the most grassroots level the idea that we can all share the same citizenship based on the principles of Jus Gaia. Our goal with this resolution is to get as many local governments in the world ideally all of them, to approve this resolution as soon as possible and to begin implementing all aspects of this resolution such that within the shortest possible time frame, all of us currently living and certainly all of those yet to be born will be conferred upon them the legal status of Jus Gaia. Does not mean that we have to throw away our national passports today. It does not mean that we have to immediately submit to some sort of global governance system that we might not be ready for collectively. But it does mean that we now organize ourselves or begin to organize ourselves not on the basis of our nation states alone, not on the basis of our ethnicity or religious backgrounds or cultural backgrounds or any of those things, but on the basis of our shared humanity. Underlying all of this is the inherent recognition of our equality as humans, both in rights and in real terms. And we are hoping very much to push towards greater equality, less poverty, and more peace and more security through the processes surrounding the idea of world citizenship. So this may be boring to some, but I think it's very important for us here to just read out this entire resolution right now. So sit back in your chair, close your eyes, and listen away while I read the full text of this resolution and explain some of its key provisions. Before I do so, I just want to reiterate again, the purpose of this resolution is to recognize the legal status of Jus Gaia within the local legal and political jurisdictions in which you live. This could be Timbuktu, this could be Cape Town, this could be Punta del Este in Uruguay, this could be Riverside, California, could be anywhere. All local governments are encouraged and urged to consider adopting this resolution. We hope that local governments will do this, preferably by consensus. If you, as an individual resident of an area or perhaps a member of a political group or a local movement, want to pursue a campaign locally to urge your councilors or your local government officials to adopt this resolution, that would be also a wonderful initiative. Our goal ultimately really is to get every single local government in the world, there's 10 or 20,000 of them, something like that, to adopt this same resolution. Part of this resolution, as you'll see in a second, is the idea that there will be mutual recognition by any local government that approves the resolution vis-a-vis any other local government that approves the same resolution to recognize the Jus Gaia rights of people under each of their jurisdictions. So as an example, if a local government in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in the United States adopts this resolution, and a government in, let's say, Utrecht in the Netherlands adopts this resolution, those two cities, those two local government areas agree to treat the citizens of every other local government area that has ratified this resolution on equal terms to how they expect their local citizens to be treated in terms of their world citizenship, global citizenship, Jus Gaia status. So hopefully that's clear. If you have any questions or any comments, please give them to us in the space below. And there will certainly be people that are fundamentally opposed to this idea. We believe that it signifies the next step in our human evolution, in our political evolution, towards greater complexity, greater interrelationships between and among people and nations, and will provide the most effective foundation upon which to tackle truly global and international issues that simply cannot be tackled or resolved alone. Our goal is for all of us to be equal world citizens, treated as equals by everyone, everywhere. So the resolution is dated on the 1st of January, 2026. This can be changed within the PDF, so don't worry about that. There's a space to fill in the name of your local council or your local government. And then the resolution begins with a series of preambular statements, which are traditional ways of setting the tone for resolutions. And then there's 11 particular substantive paragraphs which outline the things that local governments who approve this resolution have agreed to do. So, first of all, the preamble. Whereas all human beings are equal, interdependent, and entitled to a dignified and peaceful life, free from discrimination, poverty, deprivation, human rights violations, and oppression. Affirming that all persons are entitled to all human rights, and that these human rights are universal, indivisible, and inalienable. Whereas the unprecedented challenges of the 21st century transcend the territorial boundaries and institutional capacities of individual nation states, and can only be effectively resolved through international cooperation and the maintenance of and support to local, regional, and global institutions, in which considerations of national interest yield to the pressing needs and shared responsibilities of humanity, and the preservation of life and the well-being of the planet. Whereas the maintenance of existing and the construction of future institutions requires, as a cornerstone of international peace, human rights, and security, the active cooperation of every jurisdiction in 1. Recognizing the legal status of world citizenship for their residents, and 2. Availing world citizenship identity information for everyone residing within their respective territories, thereby ensuring their participation in emerging structures of global democracy. Guided by the principles of equality and non-discrimination, the full enjoyment of all human rights, mutual respect and responsibility, universal justice, ecological sustainability, and an equitably shared planet on which everyone depends for sustenance and life itself. Recalling the many pre-existing city-to-city alliances, urban partnerships, and generally close relations between our cities, leaders, and residents, and that these are solid foundations on which to build an ever closer union of people of the earth. Cognizant that a unified humanity living within a system of global democracy and a democratically elected global government guided by the full electoral participation of everyone everywhere provides the best foundation for the continued existence of humanity on our bountiful but fragile and finite planet. And finally, convinced further that the major global issues now facing humanity cannot and will not be solved by national governments acting alone or in partial association with one another. Then the name of the local government area is to be included, and then that council or that local government declares the following 11 operative paragraphs, 11 points organized into 11 paragraphs, which read as follows. 1. Every person residing within the territorial jurisdiction of the local government concerned, both citizens and non-citizen legal residents, including those awaiting formal recognition and the grant of legal status, has the right to enjoy the status of world citizen based on the legal principles of Jus Gaia as a unique or supplemental citizenship status conferred on the basis of jus soli, jus sanguinis, jus nexi, or other legal citizenship doctrines. 2, we commit to integrating human rights principles, including world citizenship and the legal doctrine of Jus Gaia, into all our local policies, services, procurement, and decision-making. 3, we further commit to supporting innovation at all levels that ensures meaningful public engagement and democratic participation, and in this regard, will develop and implement local laws, policies, and procedures to confer world citizenship status on residents within the territories under our jurisdiction. 4, we commit in a reciprocal manner to recognize through the issuance of a universal certificate of recognition the world citizenship status of all other local government areas anywhere in the world that have conferred the same status on those residents within their territories of jurisdiction. 5, we commit to formally entering into cooperation agreements with as many municipal councils as possible in other political jurisdictions that agree to join a new World Citizenship Alliance. 6, we hereby endorse and adhere to the imperative of constructing global institutions specifically mandated to confront and resolve those challenges and problems that, by reason of their magnitude, scope, and cross-border impact, can only be addressed through decision-making that places the interests of humanity as a whole above narrower local, regional, or national considerations, including an elected World Parliamentary Assembly subject to the democratic electoral wishes of the entire human race. 7. We support as a matter of priority the establishment of a forward and future-looking planet-wide voting system on matters under the jurisdiction of the United Nations General Assembly and the still-to-be-established World Parliamentary Assembly, comprised of members directly elected by the global polity, and Chamber of Cities, comprised of all the world's most populous 1,000 cities. 8, we commit to immediately and actively pursue the establishment of a Chamber of Cities, comprised of representatives from each of the world's most populated 1,000 cities. For the purposes of equitable representation, each participating city will incorporate the surrounding semi-rural and rural populations to ensure the inclusion of the entire human population. 9, we commit to accessing and allocating the maximum of available resources, both financial and physical, towards the full achievement of the aims of this resolution, including support for a global 1% annual tax levy on the world's wealthiest 25 nation states and 10,000 of the world's wealthiest individuals. We commit to establishing within our local government administrative structures, a secretariat, and a program of action to implement and monitor compliance and implementation of the present resolution. And finally, 11, an official signed and water-sealed copy of this resolution will be sent to and held in perpetuity by a body established by the eventual World Parliamentary Assembly. And then there's a space for signature by the mayor or person with signing authority of the local government concerned. So in essence, this is a resolution that says everyone everywhere, on the basis of their humanity alone, should have the legal status of Jus Gaia or world citizenship conferred upon them. I'm happy at any time to receive your comments or questions about the meaning of any of these provisions, so please feel free to send them. We want this process to play itself out in a peaceful and constructive way that constantly enhances the protection of democratic rights, builds the foundations for the emergence of yet more democracy, the creation of systems that allow people to vote easily and securely and equitably across the board from the age of 16 onwards, in political systems which are not beholden to the small 0.1% of the world's wealthiest people, or to dictatorships or those with authoritarian aspirations. We believe that all of us as humans, all 8.2 billion of us, should have the right to live on a planet which is governed democratically based upon the collective will of the planet as a whole. Building the capacity to reach that objective will not occur tomorrow. It will take time, but we believe there are already millions upon millions of people that can see the value of having ever larger political systems in place to finally, once and for all, adequately tackle the global challenges that confront us. This will be an uphill battle. This will be something that will take years, but we need to start somewhere. And there are countless ways by which all of us can pursue activities in our normal lives that will help to build ever deeper and ever stronger foundations for an international system of governance, an international legal order, which takes into account fully the pre-existing state of international law, but builds upon it towards something much more grounded in the humanity that we share rather than in our status as citizens of individual nation states. We believe the time is ripe for this, and we hope that you will join us, in particular, in urging your own local governments to consider this resolution. So if you find value in this draft resolution, please go to onenessworld.org, go to the front page, first page, find the resolution. It's right there. It says available in PDF form. Just click on that and either save it as a file on your computer or print it out as you like. And then please send it to all the members of your local city council and see what they have to say. Set up meetings with them to discuss the contents of the resolution or the contents just generally of the quest we all share of increasing the quality of our global governing system through this world citizenship process. So that's something that you as an individual anywhere can do. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter whether you live in a super evolved, highly democratic country or s- somewhere much less than that. All of us have ways of relating to our different local government structures. And this is something very concrete, very simple, very straightforward that you as an individual person can do if you want to help be part of the movement across the world that is building this world of unity, this world of hope, this world of compassion, this world of caring, this world of equality, this world in which all of us can wake up every morning knowing that our basic human rights will be met. We wake up every morning knowing we will not be controlled by an authoritarian figure or a dictator or a governing class that has no interest in protecting the rights of the poorest 80% of a population. We can wake up in a world where nuclear weapons are no longer the threat that they are today. Wake up in a world where global governance structures are so capable and so technologically able to address the issues that have plagued us for decades, if not millennia: poverty, inequality, environmental destruction, weapons of mass destruction, the destruction of the natural environment generally, protecting biodiversity, saving our oceans. The list goes on and on and on. That's the world that we're hoping to inspire with Democracy Tomorrow. We hope you'll find this resolution really interesting, usable. If you want to vary it, if you want to edit it, fine. This resolution belongs to all of you. It belongs to the entire world. It belongs to no one else than that. So feel free to use it in whichever way you think will be of assistance. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the spaces below. If you like what we do or what we're trying to do, please like and subscribe. I know it's always boring to say that, but it really does make a big difference. And with that, we will be back soon with the next episode of Democracy Tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching. And all of us have a role to play in building the better future that we all deserve. And we hope this resolution will help. All the best.